Sports.
Here we are. The Pete Sousa Show continues. So Matt Mosley just joined us. Cam Stewart, who will be joining Matt Mosley a little later on today on ESPN Central Texas. Cam, so we have Scotty's on the move. We're going to get Cam shot better, I guess. Scotty Swingler's making it happen, dude.
Yeah.
I mean, the guy is talent, and he's talented in front and behind the camera. Cam.
Yes.
I was talking to Mosley about Clint Longley. I almost was embarrassed to say that I watched the YouTube recut of that exact game probably like 3 weeks ago. Literally, some guy did a YouTube video, the ones that you and I so much love to watch sometimes.
I do, yeah.
And it was amazing. The guy had it wasn't a closed caption because it wasn't what the announcers were saying. There were no announcers. He had NFL Films music that he put underneath this footage of the game, and he put like what would happen on each play. It was amazing. And the last play of the game, like the last 30 seconds, Clint Longley leads them back and throws a beautiful pass to Drew Pearson.
Drew Pearson, yeah.
And it was like, I just can't imagine. It was like Texas Stadium was on fire. It was amazing.
And I think, ironically enough, or coincidentally enough, that sucker punch came after a derogatory term thrown at Drew Pearson from Clint Longley. I don't know if it was like the word we're thinking, but it's all the stories said like he just took a crack at Drew Pearson and Staubach. Staubach had a great line. It's probably in that Mosley story. I sent you what I could find on it. But he said he was like, I'll knock your Bugs Bunny teeth out or something. Like something great that Staubach said to Clint Longley, and then the rest is history.
Staubach, amazing. Just an amazing
Captain America.
Amazing man, amazing quarterback. How do you know this stuff about Clint Longley?
I just remember that NFL Films thing. I think there was some show about it, and I remember it from when I used to watch the NFL Network top 10s all the time.
Yes,
it was like one-hit wonders.
Yeah.
Clint Longley, one game. So, I found that fascinating, and it would have been right in terms of age-wise, it would have been right in my dad's wheelhouse.
Oh yeah,
he'd have been a teenager, and that was Thanksgiving Day. So I'm sure we could pull him up, and he could tell you about that game too. So I definitely heard about it.
Some of those Cowboys teams, they were just different. Like, Clint Longley, Matt mentioned Hollywood Henderson. Like, they were on the same team. Like, Hollywood Henderson was toot and blow in the middle of Super Bowl 10. I know that because he told me on the Payoff podcast.
Really?
I mean, yeah. Like, he was probably the best guest I ever had. We had him on early, and he was amazing, dude. I mean, Hollywood Henderson has the best story ever. Sober now, obviously, but boy, he was in it. I mean, he had a story where he got in trouble or taken out of the game because he was doing something with a towel, and they were losing to the Redskins late in the year. Tom Landry yanked him out of the game at RFK, and he said he packed his nose up with so much cocaine after that game and went in and gave Tom Landry a piece of his mind. And he was let go. I mean, this was after, and he was let go after that game.
Jeez.
Yeah. I mean, it's just it's amazing. So even sometimes now, me being sober, I think twice before I'm ready to fly off at a boss. I'm like, I probably want to take it easy, hold back on that. Not a good move. All right, Baylor basketball. I want to talk about that selfishly.
Okay.
So how are you feeling about the team coming off the Bahamas?
Brother, I don't know. I don't know what to feel about this team yet because it's still so early.
Yeah.
And
what did you think of the Tennessee loss? How about that?
Not good. Not good. This is okay. So 4 games
Cam
against
Stuart,
ranked
by the way,
teams.
locked on Baylor.
4 games against ranked teams. Arkansas, you played great. You led the whole way. The other 3, and now I'm cherry picking a little bit, but those other 3, 5 of the 6 halves you've played, you were outscored by double digits, just crushed. They were down 27 at halftime. That's almost impossible to do time-wise. How do you go minus 27 and a half? Oh, well, Tennessee's pretty good. Isn't Baylor supposed to be good? Oh, well, Baylor played the night before, double overtime. So did St. John's. They ran Virginia off the court in the earlier game the next day. So that's not a good enough excuse for me. If they're down a couple possessions most of the game and they lose by 12 at the end after cutting it to 2, okay, that's a legs thing, right? You didn't have the legs, whatever. but they got outscored by 27 in the first half. And one guy hit 5 threes before the first media timeout of the game. Like, how do you let that happen? Like, that's not they're just tired from the night before.
Yeah.
Like, this is twice within the first couple of weeks that you've just been absolutely boat raced, like just blown off the floor. Tennessee's pretty good. Yes. Gonzaga could be one of the best teams in the country. Sure. But like, you are supposed to be around that level, if not at that level, right? Like, if you're a preseason top 10 team, that's not an excuse for me. Oh, well, they're 2 ranked teams. I don't, and there's still some of that with the Baylor fan base. Like, I'm not saying you need to call for anyone's job or anything, but there's so much excuse making within the Baylor basketball fan base because most of them never thought Baylor would win a national championship. And that's great. But like, that's not good enough to just say, well, oh, those teams are pretty good. It's like, you're supposed to be too. We can't just talk up this game of, oh, they're the only team to be a top 3 seed the last 5 years, and they have the only team with this many consecutive years with guys in the lottery. It's like, you can't talk that game and then be like, oh, well, Tennessee's good. Like, no shit. You're supposed to be pretty good too. So I'm not like giving up on this team or anything like that, but there is cause for concern with the way they've played against ranked teams this year. And
what's the biggest concern that you would like to see tomorrow afternoon rectified? Like something that will make you feel good. I mean, I know it's New Orleans.
Yeah, and honestly, Pete, I don't know how much I could take from a game like that.
Yeah,
because they went plus 110 in the 2 games between Arkansas and that St. John's game. Like, I don't know how much I could take from it, but the thing I will be looking at before conference play, which is something we talked about last week, is the man defense. If you can't play man at a respectable level, then you can't win. You can't win championships. Like, you can't do it. And I don't know how much you can win in the Big 12 with it. My hope is that even if they don't figure it out, there are some teams in the Big 12 that are not high-end 3-point shooting teams, and that you can zone the shit out of them. But I also think they could get
conference for that.
Yeah, and I also think you can get this turned around. Like, I think they could figure out how to play a good man defense before then, or good enough, like they did last year, and threw in a lot of zone in there, and it worked for them. But
a lot of the man-to-man, as a lot of defense is talking, right, and staying connected, and a lot of times with inexperience, that takes a minute or two.
Yes. Yeah.
But it's not specific to Baylor. Again, I don't want to make excuses. Like, they're not the only team in the country dealing with a bunch of transfers.
St. John's brought in a couple of starters too. I think they brought in 3 of their starters this year. Like, you're right. It's not. It can't be the only thing. It's part of this. Absolutely, it's part of this.
Yeah.
And they scheduled tougher than almost anyone in the country these first couple of weeks. So there's that too. But it felt like you were past it in terms of like, okay, nobody schedules their first 2 games against top 20 teams. You won one of them pretty comfortably, and you lost the other one pretty bad. So now we're going to get those cream puffs under our belt, and we're going to be the team that we're going to be. And it's my sincere hope that this is not the team that they're going to be, because I think they can be better than this.
How about Baylor football?
Jeff
Grimes, I think it's kind of been like, now it's starting to bubble up story-wise, right? Because we're getting closer to the kickoff. But I don't think it's been talked about enough that this guy was, Dave Aranda's offensive coordinator when they went to the Sugar Bowl and won it. After they won one of the most memorable Big 12 championship games in the history of the Big 12, and certainly for Baylor. What are your thoughts about him coming back with a very good Kansas team right now?
I'm intrigued by this. First part of it is the way we're talking about Jake Spavital this year, albeit very different schemes, but the way that we're talking about Jake Spavital is the way we were talking about Jeff Grimes in 2021. Like, how quick we forget. It's like, oh, nice. Dave got this one right. It's going to help him out big time. We've got the future of this offense. Like that's what we were saying with the RVO. Yeah, I can want to say RPO, but that was not it. RVO. With Grimes and Mateos, and it went stale, went dry, and I think if you look at the roster that Baylor had last year, it's gets to be more of a gray area of whether Jeff Grimes was a scapegoat or not. Now, let's not beat around the bush. The offenses were not getting it done by the end of the time there. And I think there are some people who would also say, well, Dave Aranda's lack of recruiting acumen has killed them the last couple of years, and that it's tough for Jeff Grimes to put an explosive offense together in his style when you don't have the horses in the stable. So there's all that to say, like there's a bit of push-pull on whether this was a good move, whether Aranda was right to do this, or was he just blaming somebody else again? But Baylor's offense looks pretty damn good this year. So, well, yeah, I mean, that was the second time he had fired coordinators. He had fired Larry Fedora after year one, which was a stroke of genius.
Ron Roberts,
looked like,
too.
and Ron Roberts after 2022, and then he demotes Powledge this past year to still being the DC, but not the play caller, and fires the offensive coordinator. And usually coaches don't get that many opportunities at it. But now Baylor's got a pretty damn good offense, so it looks pretty like a good move, and the fans are loving it. And Jeff Grimes, it took some time, but they have absolutely figured it out at Kansas. I mean, these are the two most explosive offenses in the conference. Two teams that couldn't buy touchdowns in the non-conference schedule and play way differently. And here they are. I mean, they're both putting up 30 plus every game. In fact, 6 of the last 7 games, Kansas has gone for at least 4 touchdowns. The only one they didn't was even more impressive. They won a slugfest at BYU, which is a game they're not supposed to win.
Yeah.
Be it, at BYU, they're not supposed to win that, and they're not supposed to win low scoring.
And they barely lost that Kansas State game. Like this, they could have won 6 in a row.
Yeah, you're right.
Barely lost.
And I think, I don't know this for a fact, but if I'm in Jeff Grimes' shoes, I probably would have some bad blood there.
Do you know for a fact?
No, I don't.
All right.
I know from some people kind of around the Jeff Grimes thing who have worked with him and were like, yeah, I mean, I would be pretty pissed the way he was treated at the end, that kind of thing, but nothing like, oh yeah, Jeff said this. I think he did say something earlier in the year where it was like, yeah, this one's circled for me. Like this one's circled
by the way,
he's
an intimidating man, Jeff Grimes.
Really?
He's big
guy, kind of quiet.
He's like this when he talks. It's just like, whoa, he commands respect. Like,
Yeah.
And the reason I bring
Football
that up is
guy.
because there was a moment there in 2022 or 2022, the year, what was it? They won the Sugar Bowl. I always
21.
get screwed up. 2021. So the fall of 2022, right? Like it was, this guy's going to be a head coach in 6 months. That's what I really thought. And then of course, Baylor was ranked preseason 10.
Mm-hmm. And to win the conference.
Yeah. And so a lot of things changed. All right. I got like 5 more minutes left with you. What's your favorite holiday movie?
Oh shit.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's really tough. I am a sucker for some of the real sappy ones around Christmas.
Like what? Like Miracle on 34th Street?
Yeah, I liked that when I was a kid. I haven't watched it in a while.
By the way, Cam's 100 years old, folks.
Yeah.
He just looks great.
I watch Love Actually every year.
Okay.
Yeah, which is like as sappy as it gets.
Yeah.
Love It's a Wonderful Life.
Yes.
It's my grandmother's favorite movie. So watch that every year.
Your grandmother's still alive.
Yeah.
Nice.
91 years old.
Woof.
91 years old.
That's scary.
So she would have saw that
kicking around at that age.
I don't want to be, honestly. She would have saw that movie in theaters. She was like a teenager, would have saw it in theaters and then probably stayed for the friggin' news to watch the news. In fact, she found out about Pearl Harbor from like watching the newsreels in the movie theater.
So you would go to the movies and see the news?
Yeah. Yeah. Instead of like other movie trailers, they would do a 15-minute newsreel.
No kidding.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow. That's real. Like that's hard to wrap my mind around.
Yeah. And her father was leaving Hawaii at the time. So she all of a sudden sees us on the newsreels and probably, doesn't find out for like 4 or 5 days because, no phones from the boat or anything, whether her father was alive. Like crazy stuff.
Can you imagine like how divisive the news is today? Like you couldn't do that anymore.
No,
Couldn't play the news.
no, you could
People
not do that. You
There'd
couldn't
be
do that.
fights and shit. People would be losing their minds. Like,
Rocky
they
4
don't
would
play
be up
the
there
news
too,
at the
by the way.
airport anymore. It's like, you know, it's
Really?
Like,
That's probably a good thing. Honestly,
I
we
think
don't
so.
need any more stress going into that.
Yeah. All right. So, what else? I mean,
Rocky 4
now that's not a Christmas
fights him on
movie.
Christmas Day. I don't know. What do you want from me?
You know, and I can say as a kid, I
Um,
saw it over Christmas break. I remember that in the theater.
Another kind of old sappy one that's technically not a Christmas movie, but you only see it around the holidays is The Sound of Music. This is where my dad's effeminate side rubs off on me. He loves some musicals. Love The Sound of Music, dude.
Beautiful movie.
I guess I would go with It's a Wonderful Life then.
That Von Trapp guy just died, by the way. Not that long. I think he's still
The young
alive.
one of the kids. Yeah, one of the kids.
No, the old man was still alive till
No,
recently.
Georg? No.
Okay.
That would have made him like 130.
So the young guy who was
Father?
Let's do this real quick. Yeah.
Georg. Like George.
Sound of Music, right?
We used to
65.
grandparents also had a timeshare in
Christopher
Stowe,
Plummer.
Vermont. Christopher Plummer, the actor.
Yeah.
Okay, not the Von Trapp guy, the actor who played him. Yes, he just died. And Julie Andrews is still alive.
Yeah, okay.
And a couple of those kids are also no longer
Cam
with
will
us.
ding you on the technicality, man.
I mean, that's not a technicality. Scotty, will you back me up on this? Those are two different people. Like Georg Von Trapp was a guy. Like
those are two different
That's
people.
two different people.
All right.
The technicality.
Those are two different people.
Technicality.
It's just factual.
Yeah, Christopher Plummer within the last year or so.
Yeah, well, 2021.
Oh, okay, 3 years.
Yeah, he was
before
great
Baylor
actor.
won the Sugar Bowl. He didn't get to see it. That's too bad.
He was totally pumped.
The last time they won it was before he was in The Sound of Music. So,
oh, really?
Yeah, 57 was the last time they had won it before 2021. He was really bummed, I think, to miss that. But yeah, I'll go with It's a Wonderful Life. I think that's my favorite. I can't stand A Christmas Story. I've seen it way too many times in my life. In fact, I was talking about this with Grace last night. She was like, I've never seen it. I was like, how have you never seen it? Like, how do you not? That's like not seeing The Wizard of Oz. Like, how do you not just happen upon that? They play it for a day straight on cable.
Is The Wizard of Oz a holiday movie?
No, but it feels like the one that you would watch.
Yeah, every Wednesday night before Thanksgiving, it will come on.
That should be for planes, trains, and automobiles.
That's an unbelievable.
So I watched a YouTube video that people were like, "There's not enough good Thanksgiving movies."
Yeah, no, there aren't.
Because there's no real reason to not have them. It's a family holiday, like you're with loved ones, a lot like Christmas. Like, why can't you do something like that? But that's really the only quintessential one.
Yeah.
I don't do Home Alone. I've seen it enough times in my life. Elf.
I feel like the Mel Gibson movie, where his "Give me back my son," that one.
Mad Max. Yeah.
Not Mad Max. Give me back my
The
son.
Patriot.
No.
Thanksgiving movie.
You guys know what I'm talking about, right?
I don't know that one. Yeah.
No, hold on.
I haven't seen a ton of Mel Gibson, to be honest with you.
I've got to push back against Cam on that Elf.
Please,
take, man. That
on what take?
Elf.
Oh, I like Elf. I like Elf better than those other two, but like I've seen it so many times.
They blend like that old-fashioned Christmas movie with the Rankin and Bass claymation on occasion with the. I just think it's timeless. I think Elf is truly brilliant.
Elf is a great movie, and that was one.
I like the Wayne Corbett jersey in that.
That was a movie too. I was listening to a movie podcast recently about that. When it got made, a lot of folks, like a lot of the SNL people, were like, "Oh man,
that movie's
Will has a flop. Like it's gonna suck."
That movie entrenched Jon Favreau as a filmmaker.
Yes,
like, he was already making some good stuff at that point, but that one said, "Hey, this guy can make real films that appeal to wide audiences." Like,
that was
it's a great
blockbuster, and I thought he was a pretty good actor. Made is one of my like low key favorite movies. Jon Favreau.
Swingers. I'll bet you're a big Swingers guy.
It was all right. I think it's like that's another one that was like it's kind of overexposed. So, "Give Me Back My Son" was Ransom, Mel Gibson.
So you anything to do with Thanksgiving?
Mel Gibson.
Pete's gonna read it and it's gonna be like around 4th of July weekend.
Rene Russo.
What year did that come out?
1996. I saw it.
Yeah, that sounds perfect.
Yeah,
that sounds perfect.
All right,
action blockbuster.
All right, that's it. We got to go. We'll see you back here tomorrow. Thanks to Matt Mosley. Thanks to Slovakics. Of course, Scotty.
Giving a lot of thanks.
Huh?
Giving a lot of thanks.
Well, it's that time of year, Cam. Why don't you record your Thanksgiving video? The Pete Sousa Show. We're back tomorrow.
Sousa Show.